One Punch Man Chapter 156 was one of the best that the fandom has received over the last year or so, and in fact the entire series in general. We got to see Blast, the monster god, this entire Marvel cosmic galactic war on God going on, and Blast is a part of the Avengers. We got to see Tatsumaki's interaction with God. We got to see Awakened Garo fight against Platinum S and Flashy Flash and beat both those battles with two new super powerful monsters arrive, and it's just been, it was insane. It was insane. So we actually lost about 6 pages of this chapter that was not in the initial release. So apparently there was some sort of error that happened where Murata or an editor or something had mistaken the amount of total pages that was going into the chapter, so we lost about 6 pages. So anyways, because this was one of the most hyped chapters that has come out, I want to show you these pages and talk a little bit about it. And these pages are going to focus primarily on the interaction between God and Tatsumaki, and we got way more images of Blast, so let's talk about it. First, we take place right after Garo explodes through Platinum S, saying, "Can I pass through for a second?" stealing his move, and then we get this image here of Garo exploding out, destroying, vaporizing Platinum S, and then it scales out. And as I always talk about with Murata, he's a genius at scaling out the battlefield to show the amount of destructive damage and everything that's going on. It gives the audience and the viewer such a great perception of the battle and the strength of the characters. And then we get the most OP character in the entire One Punch Man universe, King, saying, "What are these?" As he's looking around, he says, "The light pattern in the sky is gone. Is that what these are?" And obviously we know that that was the battle between the 3 speedsters of the One Punch Man universe, Flashy Flash, Platinum S, and Garo. Were battling so fast in the sky that it was creating these like constellations and laser beams in the sky and everything. Finally, we land on Tatsumaki, who has King's jacket overneath her, and she is completely passed out. And for some reason, this battle that is going on with Garo exploding Platinum S, has created some sort of like sparkly energy all over the battlefield. Not really sure why. Maybe that is the sparkles of Platinum S. Maybe those are his cells dying or something like that. And then we immediately jump into this new image of Blast, who is standing over Tatsumaki, looking down at her. All the sparkly energy and everything is flowing around. Is that Platinum S being destroyed, or is this God? Because we know from the chapter, if you haven't seen my video on it, it will be pinned as top comment and in the description, but we know that this is actually God who is appearing over Tatsumaki and attempting to give Tatsumaki his power, which will turn her evil, but it seems to only work with any being that really has like an animosity towards humanity. So there's a little bit of jumblification with Blast meeting Saitama and Flashy Flash, teleporting them away, teleporting them back to the battlefield, and then Blast is out fighting God somewhere in the universe, and then he comes back to Earth to check on Tatsumaki. So what exactly is going on here? So basically what we learn in this chapter is that when Saitama picked up the cube, it opened this receptor so that God was able to start communicating with people. Probably the reason that he was able to take Homeless Emperor's power away, but he's also able to now also try and give his power to other people. And we don't know this when we're first seeing this image, but now after seeing the whole chapter, we know that this Blast is actually God trying to fool and manipulate Tatsumaki into taking his power. And as we'll see here, Blast basically tells her that you are so close to defeating the enemy, but you are just short. Hey, throughout my battles, I've learned how to grant my power. Here, I'll give you some. So he says if you just had a little bit of more power, you could have wiped out the enemy all by yourself. And she has this great expression on her face, very annoyed, and she's saying, obviously. And then the God Blast says, Tatsumaki, thanks to my training, I've gained the ability to give my power to others. Come take power from me and we can strike down your enemies together. And we've seen this image from Blast before. This is one that we had seen, but it makes much more sense in the context of things now, and especially especially with how Tatsumaki is looking up at him with all this sparkly energy going around. It's like, it seems to be almost like a hallucination, like when Homeless Emperor saw that great double page of God that looked like Earth or Mother Earth, and the entire setting was colored and it looked like it was in heaven. I think this is some sort of ability of God's. It's one of his manipulation abilities, that he doesn't approach people solely from, hey, I'll give you my power, but he goes like the extra mile to the point where he can distort their reality, make sparkles and everything go out, put them in heaven, show them the person that they look up to the most. He's able to like peek into their thoughts and what matters to them the most, and then give them to it. Like, he's basically the devil. Like, that's what the devil does, right? And that's why this final image, which we actually got this one from the chapter, makes so much more sense when Tatsumaki is saying, "Who are you?" Because Blast wouldn't really come to her and be like, hey, look, I found out how to grant power and I can give it to you, when he told her specifically that when the time comes, don't go looking for anyone else to help or give you power. And so she knew and she saw through it and she was able to beat it. But it's very clear here that the characters of the One Punch Man universe who have weaker fortitude, who are easily persuaded, usually the ones that transform and go into monsterification, the Crab Man, Vaccine Man, all these other characters, if God was the one granting them those powers, it makes a lot of sense, because those characters are easily manipulated. They have low self-esteem or they have low fortitude, and ultimately either God grants them powers, or if God is not the one monsterifying everything, then it's the earth or something, or maybe there's two gods. We don't have all the information on that yet. I mean, we can only theorize, but the information that we got from this chapter really helps us understand how God is able to manipulate people. Like, what exactly is his process to take over or take control or grant power to people? It doesn't really seem like he takes control of them, which is another reason that fans are wondering, like, what is the entire purpose of him granting people power? Is it to wipe out humans, to mortals, because he's God? Does he just want mortals to wipe themselves out by granting some of them power? What is the motive of God? Like, we still don't know what that is yet. And that's honestly my biggest question coming into this arc, because this did not happen in the webcomic, and this is all brand new, fresh content. It's always nice to see more of Blast, and this even makes his eerie face that he makes when Tatsumaki's like, "Who are you?" and he has this kind of glaring, menacing feel from the back. It almost makes it so much more powerful, being that it's God. And when she finally looks at his face, she sees this disgusting looking morphed face of God. But I really like this whole interaction. I think this is a big part that was missed out of the overall chapter. And I'm glad that we actually got it. It's translated thanks to the fellows on Reddit. I have so many theories on to what God's motive is, what Blast is doing out there, who are these allies or enemies that he's facing. As you saw from that picture, he opens a portal to leave as he's telling King, I'm not the only one fighting out there. And that's when we see all these other, so like through his black hole, we see all these other characters going up against God out in space. Like, why is he on Earth? So many questions, so many theories. I can only speculate, but I know that's part of the fun. And I love to hear your theories, so please leave them in the comment section down below. Maybe you guys know something I don't, or maybe you're onto something really solid. If somebody leaves a very good comment with a great theory, I'd love to talk about it in a video. I'm Mastar. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you soon for some more One Punch Man.